Yo, what's good, brother? You ready to live stream?
Oh man, I just don't know. I'm feeling real low on energy right now.
What? You know what, man? I know exactly what you need. You need some W energy. Let me send you some W energy right now.
W who? W what? W energy? What's that?
What's W energy drink, you say, Tim? W is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or against like other energy drinks. W energy drink contains no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. W energy drink also contains vitamins, amino acids, nootropic, and 150 milligrams caffeine. Here, Tim, try W's energy drink, the latest flavor, Dragonade. How do you feel?
Yo! Oh, I'm feeling so much better. Damn, where do I get some more of that W from?
Oh, that's what's up. Just go to the awesome website, w.gg, and use our special code Bloodline1 and get 10% off right now.
About how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to yet another installment of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. My name is Dylan Abear, and if you're watching this, you're watching exclusively for the Bloodline Entertainment Network. And before I get into anything, first of all, I want to thank everyone who tuned in last week, who showed their love, who gave the feedback, who was in the comments on YouTube, who watched on Facebook, wherever you watched. If you tuned in, you gave the feedback, then I obviously very, very much appreciate you. So just wanted to get that out the way real quick. Just like at the beginning of the show, this episode and the entire Bloodline Entertainment Network is sponsored by W Energy. Just use promo code Bloodline1 to get 10% off of your order. So getting into today's episode, we are talking about the Saints' big win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And I say it's a big win because the Saints have not been the most successful team in the preseason. We're not like the Baltimore Ravens, who have won like 20 plus straight preseason games. You know, the Saints have kind of been on that up down for the preseason. So the Saints winning and against the Super Bowl champion Chiefs of all people, it's a huge accomplishment. You know, from what I know, it's preseason, but it's a huge accomplishment. So just wanted to just acknowledge the Saints for winning this game. Melissa, of course, tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good to have you on. Got some more comments rolling in. Courtney, of course, Courtney is always tuning into the shows. So very much appreciative of Courtney for tuning in as well. Let's see who else we got. Of course, we got the man right there, TK tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, man. So glad to have you here. Let's see who else we got. Let's see. We got Jordan backstage on. He's doing my stream today, so comments may be coming up a little slower than usual, but that's okay. Of course, Faction Cast tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, we got Dom tuning in as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the show. So getting into today's show, we're going to talk about some stuff that I'm going to bring up. Of course, we got Nick also from the Universal Wrestling Podcast tuning in as well. Thank you to everyone so far as tuning in. Of course, we got Graydon as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in so far. We're going to get into some more comments after a while, but getting into today's show, this is something I'll be doing every single week when it comes to like recap shows. You know, I'm going to be going on twice a week for the Bloodline Network. On Mondays, I'll be doing my recap shows, and Wednesdays, I'll be doing my preview shows. So getting into today's show, first of all, I want to get into my 5 key notes that I took away from this game. Now, there was a lot of highs and a lot of lows. We got into this game, and honestly, this game was probably the most unexciting roller coaster that you can ever be a part of, because the first quarter started on such a high, and it ended on a low, and then right in the final seconds it got back on a high. So if you're into sort of stuff like that, then you know more to you. But if not, it's just wasn't that good of a game. And yes, the Saints came away with a victory, but it was not the greatest game of all time. So but getting to my 5th keynote of the game, it's not always going to be pretty, but a win is a win. The Saints struggled. They had interceptions. They had a lot of punts. They started off good. Like I said, they started off very, very good. The first series by Derek Carr ended a touchdown to Keith Kirkwood. And then the second touchdown was Jameis Winston to A.T. Perry, who I'll talk about in a few minutes. But there was a lot of downfalls to this game. Like I mentioned, Jake Haener, who was another rookie out of Fresno State, came into the game, threw an interception. He really didn't look as good as he did in the training camp. He he's been impressing in training camp, but he comes to that preseason game. Of course, he has those rookie jitters. He's not looking good whatsoever. But then he comes in, and he is obviously our leading passer for the game. Getting into our leading stat getters real quick. First of all, Jake Haener was the leading passer, 10 of 17 for 105 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Leading rusher was Jamal Williams with 9 carries for 28 yards. Our leading receiver was A.T. Perry, 6 catches off of 6 targets, by the way, for 70 yards and a touchdown. Our leading defenders was Anthony Orji with 3 tackles, Ryan Connolly with 2 solo, 2 assisted tackles, and of course, Zach Bond with 2 odd tackles, 1 assisted, and a sack in the game. Of course, he had 2 takeaways as well. First from Ugo Amadi and Kyle Phillips. So the Saints, like I said, if you look at the stat sheet, the Saints actually did pretty decent. But if you watch that entire game, then it's a typical Saints game. If you're watching it, whether you're watching it in the regular season, preseason, the Saints always find a way to give you that near heart attack. So coming from a Saints fan, it's not always good to get those near heart attacks. And the Saints just so happened to do that in their preseason game versus the Chiefs. But getting to my fourth keynote of the game is that you can always find a hidden gem in an undrafted free agent. And the Saints just did so with Ellis Merriweather. Kendry Miller went down with an injury. He was in the injury tent, and then he went to the locker room, and that gave the opportunity for Ellis Merriweather to come in and shine. He actually shared snaps with Jamal Williams. I believe he was tied for the lead with, I think, 9 carries. He had 3 catches and a touchdown. So if Kendry Miller goes down and he's going to be out for a while, then Ellis Merriweather, and the Saints just signed Darrell Williams-Tilley, former Super Bowl champion. He went to LSU. So the Saints will be fine at the running back position. Alvin Kamara is going to be out for 3 games. We got Jamal Williams. We got Ellis Merriweather if the Saints decide to retain him, which I really hope they do. He looked really good in this game. Third key note is one that is a really big negative, and that is the offensive line. The offensive line from start to finish was not the greatest. And this is the first team as well. The first team was allowing defenders to get to Derek Carr so quickly. And it was frustrating to watch this, because if this is your first team for the offensive line going out, that's not what you're looking for. This is something that you expect maybe from the 3rd string, the 4th string, and so on, but not your starters or even your backups, because if somebody goes down, then you have to, something you have to look forward to is that next man up. It's always the saying when it comes to football, someone getting hurt is next man up. And the offensive line did not look well at all. Jameis Winston was out there fighting for his life. He was getting sacked a few times. Some sacks were on him for not getting rid of the ball too quickly, but also, you got to protect your man. Same thing with Derek Carr. Derek Carr was having to avoid defenders, and it was just not pretty. So something the Saints really need to get strengthened on is the offensive line. And number 2 is that Derek Carr is going to be a lot of fun to watch this season. The Saints have struggled to find a good quarterback ever since the retirement of Drew Brees, and even in Drew Brees' last season and even the one before that, he didn't look like himself. He didn't have that strong arm that can go the distance to his speedy receiver. So now you got Derek Carr, who I believe is entering year 10. He's young. He can sling the ball. It's something we learned from him. So he's going to be very, very fun to watch this season. I'm looking forward to seeing what he has in store for this Saints season. I'm not sure if they're going to continue playing him in preseason or hold him out for the regular season, but always interested to see how they go forward with this. And then my number 1 key topic is A.T. Perry was an absolute steal. 6th round pick from Wake Forest. This guy was unbelievable. He can catch the slant routes. He can catch those out routes. He can go deep. It doesn't matter. He showed up and he played fantastic. It doesn't matter who the quarterback was out there, whether Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Jake Hayner, he played fantastic. So in my opinion, A.T. Perry was an absolute steal in the 6th round. I'm honestly shocked he lasted to the 6th round. A lot of draft experts said that he couldn't believe that the A.T. Perry lasted to the 6th round. So I believe the Saints got a huge, huge steal with A.T. Perry. So love the Saints team. I love what they were showing. Yeah, the preseason is going to be a struggle, but that's what preseason is for. Is to see those struggles, to see who's not improving. And unfortunately, the Saints team that we saw this past weekend it's going to look different. It's going to be cuts. There's going to be signings. There's going to be all kind of things shaken up with the Saints team. So unfortunately, some of the people that we saw compete and we saw play good, some we saw play bad, they're not going to be here. So hopefully, guys like I mentioned, like that Ellis Merriweather, hopefully he lasts with this team. I'm hoping he makes the team because, of course, Alvin Kamara being out those 3 games, not knowing the extent of Kendre Miller's injury, and even signing Darrell Williams. I'm not sure what this guy really looks like. I know he played with Arizona last year. I'm not sure how much snaps he got with Arizona, but I know he was a key factor for Kansas City in their Super Bowl run. So guys like that, I hope that the Saints keep around. It'll be nice to see that. Getting into some more comments real quick. Of course, we got our tribal chief Devin tuning in. Thank you for tuning into the show. Got our guy Justin, of course, tuning in. Thanks for joining in, man. It's real good to have you and hope you're doing well. Of course, got my main supporter on the show, my mother, tuning in. She never misses the podcast, so it's always nice to have her here. Of course, Kendre Miller, someone who I just talked about, sucks that he went down, someone I was very excited for, someone who after the draft, he did say that he would hope to even go for that starting role. Sucks that he went down with that injury. Let's see, Jets signed Dalvin Cook. I had no idea. I knew that Zeke, he signed with the Patriots. I had no idea about Dalvin Cook. Must have just came out a little while ago. Of course, we got Will Gray tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, man. Looks like Carr put it. Yeah, he did. Look at the comparison. Go on the internet, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, wherever. The comparison, the side by side from last season to this season, this guy has really, really has improved himself when it came to his body. So this guy is absolutely, it's great. Of course, we got the Get Show podcast in here also. Thanks for tuning in, man. But getting into my second topic, I want to talk about my player of the game. And I spoke highly of somebody. And as you see right here, A.T. Perry. Absolutely unbelievable seeing this from a rookie. Now, everyone talks about the draft, those first round picks, the second round, even into the third round. But no one even really ever appreciates, unless you're a draft like fanatic, then you start digging into those hidden gems you can find in the 6th round, 7th round, whatnot. A.T. Perry is one of them. When the Saints drafted A.T. Perry, I actually did some more digging on him, and I just saw how well this guy was doing, and I was absolutely blown away. Seeing A.T. Perry, seeing his tapes, seeing more action from him in college, something I really didn't pay attention to, because I'm not one of those guys that, digs in to a lot of the tapes, to a lot of the highlights. I'm not too familiar with that. I'm not that much of that draft expert, like some people. But whenever the Saints drafted him and they showed a bunch of tapes, I'm like, man, this guy, if he can do this, at Wake Forest, and he comes to the Saints and he can do this with Derek Carr, man, he can really be like really that number 3, behind Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. And, Michael Thomas, someone who I never really mentioned, someone who, if he stays healthy, he's one of the best in the league. And, a lot of people don't like him. He's a trash talker. They don't like him. I get it. But whenever he's healthy, Michael Thomas is one of the best in the league. And to have A.T. Perry, Chris Olave, guys like, let's see, Key Kirkwood, Rashid Shaheed, other guys like that, man, this team on the receiving end can be absolutely fantastic. So getting into my final topic of today, like I said, it's preseason. There's not much to cover. Some of these guys I'm talking about won't even be here next week. Week 2 preview against the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know where the game's at, if it's in New Orleans or Los Angeles. I didn't do my research on that one, but there's some stuff I'm looking for in this game. Let's see, Olave or Thomas. Okay, now this is a tricky one because when Chris Olave had his breakout season last year, his rookie year, Michael Thomas didn't play. So it's hard to say who's better right now, but I mean, you're going to go at more of the guy who's been there a little bit longer. So right now, I'm going to say Michael Thomas. And this is nothing towards Olave. Olave had a fantastic season. it was unbelievable that he wasn't even in the running for rookie of the year. That was the shocking part about it. That he wasn't even in the running. And a lot of people picked him to even win it. And he didn't even get that nominee, which is crazy. But Michael Thomas, when healthy, like I just said, he's one of the best in the league. So it's yeah, I mean, like I said, Michael Thomas, he's, like I said, when he's healthy, he's one of the best. He has that record for the most catches in a season. And a lot of people say, oh, it's the slants. It's the slants. Well, he was also playing with someone who didn't have the greatest arm ever, so he wasn't given an opportunity to go deep. So seeing what he can do with Derek Carr, if that happens, man, I just think it could be a deadly combo, So if he's healthy, let's see what happens. Yeah, the last year's rookies also they were great. I believe it was Garrett Wilson that won the Rookie of the Year, and I think Sauce Gardner won the defensive rookie. So the Jets just had that fantastic rookie class, kind of like how the Saints did with Kamara and Lattimore. They each won the offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year as well. So yeah, the rookies were unbelievable last year. What's going on, Tino? Thanks for tuning into the show, man. Glad to have you here. But yeah, week 2 preview. Some things I'm looking for in this game. There's quite a few things I'm looking for. And the first thing I'm looking for is no absolute injuries whatsoever. Now, I mention this because Kendre Miller, some guy who I thought could serve as that number 2 when Kamara's gone, number 3 whenever he is back. And you even saw him in the kick returning game, someone who could have served as that backup kick returner while Rashid Shaheed is out with the injury that he has right now. So, I don't want no more injuries. The injuries is something that has really come for the Saints these past couple seasons, has really prevented them to exceed to their potential that they do have. So hopefully we see no injuries. We see a clean game from the Saints, and also we see a W that we just saw against Kansas City. So I'm also looking for an improvement in the offensive line. That is something that is key. I should have put that number 1, the offensive line. The offensive line is something that the Saints have struggled with year after year. And I'm hoping that this is not a trend that they're going on, is going more down when it comes to the offensive line. So hoping that they can really pick things up. I think this team has so much potential on paper. I think that they can compete in the NFC South. I think they can win the NFC South, and they can compete in the NFC as a whole, because the NFC is not that strong when you look at it. You have the Eagles, you have the 49ers, but after those 2 teams, I mean, who are you looking at right now? So it's so tough to say that the Saints can't even grab that number 3 seed. The next thing I'm looking at is a continued positive relationship between Derek Carr and Michael Thomas. I have talked about Michael Thomas just a lot on this show. He just played the full first series with Derek Carr. You didn't see him play for the rest, but of course on the sideline you see the constant positive relationship between those two, and I believe that can go into the football field. I believe that they can have a historic season together, and this is me just speaking as a fan. A lot of people may think, it's just their first season together. You're not going to see much chemistry out of them, but I think that if he's healthy, and if Derek Carr can even avoid injuries, then I think that they're unstoppable. Yeah, I mean, you can say it's between us and Atlanta. Atlanta has a good team. I think they have the more experienced team together when it comes to everyone in the South. And that's saying something for the Saints as well, because the Saints have newer players. They don't have, I'm not sure how much of the chemistry they have yet together. And it all starts with the quarterback. Derek Carr coming in, a new fresh face over there. Because Atlanta, not sure if they're going Desmond Ridder, if they're going Taylor Heineke. I'm not sure the route they're going. I'm not even sure who played for them, who started for them. I don't really keep up with them, to be honest. Carolina also has a very young, inexperienced team as well. Bryce Young coming in as a rookie. I believe he's going to get the start over Andy Dalton. Over to Andy Dalton. Hearing that name just gives me, PTSD when it comes to, like, as a fan. I'm pretty sure any Bengals or Bears fans can say that he gives them, or even Cowboys fans can even say about Andy Dalton. So I think Bryce Young is obviously going to get that start over there. And then, of course, Tampa Bay losing Tom Brady. That was their main factor, was losing Tom Brady. So I think Baker could possibly be the guy over there. I'm not sure what route they're going with. But yeah, I think the Saints and the Falcons are the top two teams in the South that's going to battle for that lead and ultimately to win in that division. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And then my last two takeaways or my previews that I have for the week 2 game is A.T. Perry to continue to shine. I want to see if he can actually do something with Derek Carr. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to play. And if he does, I'm not sure how much. He only played 1 series in their last game. I'm not sure if they'll boost it to 2 or 3 series. But I think you hold out your starters as much as you can to avoid those injuries I was just talking about. So I'm not sure the route they're going to go when it comes to that. But if he does play, if A.T. Perry plays, which I would imagine he would, he's a 6th-round pick fighting for a roster spot. He's not really guaranteed that roster spot because he can have a great game, those 6 catches off of 6 targets, 70 yards and a touchdown, but he could lay down a big goose egg the next game against the Chargers. It's all a matter of what ifs. So I want A.T. Perry to shine in this game against the Chargers. I want him to expose every defender that covers him and show that he can be a legit number 3 behind Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. Yeah, it's an awful division. NFC South possibly is one of the worst divisions in the league, and that's just going by how the teams look. Yeah, the Saints on paper look pretty decent. They have a really good, strong offense, but defense is touch and go. But I think they'll be all right. But I think the Saints, the NFC South, this is for us to lose. So if the Saints can stay healthy, if they keep playing good, they don't lose those games that they're supposed to win. If the Saints are, let's just be realistic here. If the Saints are, let's say, 5-0, they're playing a team that's 0-5. You can't lose a game like that. And those are the games that the Saints do lose. Like, they play these bad teams, and somehow this team comes in and beats them. So the Saints, if they can avoid that, I think that they can be one of the powerhouses of the NFC. Because there's a lot of teams in the NFC, but the NFC is wide open. We did something on another show where we were picking division winners. I think the Saints win, and I think that's the easiest division the Saints win. I was talking about maybe the Bears or even the Vikings go into the North, saying that the Seahawks or the 49ers win the West, and I think either the Philly wins the East. So that's my NFC side of things. I'm not gonna get AFC because the Saints show. I'm not talking AFC here, but my last thing about the preview for the Charger game is that I want more takeaways. The Saints were, I think recorded a franchise low last year, 14 total takeaways. And that's embarrassing when it comes to the Saints defense. The Saints defense is better than that. 14 total takeaways, and this is counting fumbles, interceptions, anything that talks about a takeaway. This is what it recorded, and the Saints only had 14. That's embarrassing. So the Saints already had 2 in their preseason game versus the Chiefs. So I'm hoping that we get more takeaways, and this maybe leads into the regular season against Tennessee, hoping that we can just capitalize on everything. I'm hoping that we don't need a game-winning field goal from a rookie of all things, with Blake Grupe, who got mistaken for a fan a few times by security. So hoping that we don't need anything like that. I'm hoping the Saints have a dominant victory, something that we can just put away the Chargers pretty quickly, and not have to stress over a preseason game. And a lot of people say, it's a preseason game, shouldn't stress over it. Yeah, we should, because we should just see how this team's looking. And if the team plays good in preseason, this gives us hope going into the regular season. If they're getting blown out in preseason, yeah, it's not really giving us a lot of hope going into week 1 for the regular season. So hopefully the Saints can work out whatever kinks they have right now when it comes to that offensive line, to the injury bug that's hitting them, and they just have a more dominant performance, something that we've seen for that first quarter. The first quarter was absolutely fantastic for the Saints, but the second, third, and and then a large portion of the fourth quarter was very, very tough to watch. So, yeah, hoping we don't need any sort of miracle interception or a game-winning field goal against the Chargers. But that's all I got for today's episode of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. Of course, I want to thank everyone who was in the comments today. Of course, chatting up with me about the Saints, talking some more football, and just looking forward to starting this off in the regular season, because you're seeing me get pissed off about a performance, about talking about the injury bug, but get ready for the regular season, because once this stuff counts, then you're going to see me on here every Monday in talking about a win, or if it's a loss, it won't be pretty, unfortunately. So get ready. It's going to be fun. Only my second episode. I got a lot more in just in store for everybody this season for the Saints. So hoping it's just a good one. But getting into social media first, you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever you would decide to call it, at DylanAber_. Of course, you can find the Bloodline Entertainment Network at the Bloodline ENT. Same handle for Instagram. We're also on Twitch, TikTok, Kick, Facebook, any social media possible. We are on there as well. Listen to all the audio content that we have. Of course, our guy Devin put out a fantastic audio exclusive episode of Get It Off Your Chest. It's a fantastic episode. Go out and check it out. He did some really good things. Check out later in the nights. We got Roto Slappers, TK, and Streets are going on, talking some more football as well. The football action on the Bloodline Entertainment Network is not stopping tonight, because they have some quality content for you as well. Some fantasy football talk, I believe they're doing. So check them out as well. We also have merchandise, people. The link is in the description for the merchandise, and we also have a pretty sweet commercial for our merchandise. So check it out.
Tired of bored, uninspiring merch? Well, you need to go to bloodlinenetwork.com/merch.
We got merch for everyone. Men, women, kids, in the home.
We got tanks, V-necks, t-shirts, coffee cups.
And we can't forget about beach towels. That's right. Get your ass off that hot ass sand and get your Bloodline Entertainment Network beach towels.
bloodlinenetwork.com/merch.
For your pleasure.
Absolutely. Go to bloodlinenetwork.com/merch. The link is in the description of this live stream. Go out, buy you a t-shirt, a V-neck, coffee cup, beach towel. I got my t-shirt coming in on Thursday, I believe. So my next live stream next Monday, I'll be rocking my new Bloodline Entertainment Network t-shirt. Cannot wait to be rocking that one. It's an absolute blessing to be a part of this network. Once again, second time I mentioned it, third time on the show. The Bloodline Entertainment Network is sponsored by W Energy. If you need a kick, if you need a boost in your day, go to w.gg and use code Bloodline1 to get 10% off of your order. I haven't tried the product myself, but I'm hearing positive things on it. It's a really good product. Go out, get you some, and of course, use our code to help us out as well. But this will do it. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope everyone had a good weekend, had a good return to their work week. I return to work tomorrow. Thankfully, I'm off on Mondays. I was able to knock out a good bit of content for the Bloodline Entertainment Network. I will be back on Monday to talk some more Saints and the Chargers. So yes, we also have a Discord. I forgot to mention that Courtney is the main one running that Discord. He's doing a fantastic job. Got to shout Courtney out on that one for doing that Discord. Yeah, we are everywhere, people. Like wherever social media is at, the Bloodline Entertainment Network is there. And to correct myself, the Saints are traveling to the Chargers in Los Angeles for that game. So I believe I put on there 6:05 Central Time. The Saints will be playing, so I will be doing some more in-depth look at it. I'll be doing some more keynotes. What I'll be looking at for next week, my player of the game, all those topics will be right here on the Dome Field Advantage podcast. But until then, guys, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.